Today's live, I am hanging out with Robyn Young of Robyn Young Co. She is a branding expert. She's been doing this for a very long time and actually launched her company at a really unique time in her life. So I want to talk about that today. Guys, this is episode 14, I think. I'm having so much fun hanging out with you. I really appreciate the DMs and the comments and the engagement on these lives. It has been so much fun, and I'm excited for the new year to continue these on. I'm not going anywhere. So if you have ideas for me, topics you want to talk about, things that you want to know more on, just, send me a message. I'm all ears. I want to keep doing this. This has been so much fun for me. So Robyn is here. Let's have her join.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Hi. How are you?
Going?
Good. I am so excited to have you on because I don't know if many of you people know, but we've been working together for years. So we are like BFFs in the business world. We know each other so well. So this will be fun, low pressure. Hi.
Hi.
So I'm introing you as a branding expert because that's what you are. That's how you are in my mind.
Yeah.
But can you tell us a little bit about Robyn Young Co. and like what you guys do for your clients? Just
Sure.
high level.
Yeah, high level, like my purpose statement.
Oh yeah, your elevator pitch, your why.
Elevator
Yeah.
pitch. Yeah. So we work with emerging brands and entrepreneurs to excavate and articulate their purpose and their vision. And we do this through smart branding and intentional creative. So translation. That means that we are a full service creative agency. So we can virtually create brands soup to nuts, like everything they could possibly need from a creative standpoint. Where I kind of draw the line, technically we fit under the umbrella of a marketing company.
Yes.
But I'm not really doing the the kind of marketing tactics and paid media and social media management and like things like that I think most people kind of see as, oh, this is traditional marketing. We don't do that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So our secret sauce is really helping brands and entrepreneurs, like I said, to fine tune what their value is so that they can stand out in these very crowded market spaces that we all find ourselves in these days. So,
we've talked about
rising
this.
above the white noise is the name of the game. And how we go about that is just because we are absolute experts in brand strategy and positioning, understanding who's your audience, what's your, what's your value prop, what's your difference, how are you differentiating yourself in the market in a way that is valuable to this customer base. So it looks very different doing this for an entrepreneur or like a solo business owner who I do work with versus doing this for, let's say, a funded startup or doing this for an established small business. They're going to have very different strategies because they're in very different places in their business. They have different audiences. They have different pain points. They have different budgets. Everything, there's so much context that's needed there,
And so you have a couple different programs that you do, and I want to talk through some stuff on target market because it's something I talk with my clients about all the time. And you as well, like in order to work for a client, you dive into those details. So I want to get into that, but can you kind of reverse back a little bit? Because I know you launched this when you were pregnant. So can you give us, you're like, oh, how many years ago was that? So can you, like a lot of my friends are mamas, a lot of entrepreneurs are mamas. Mamas are getting kicked out of the workforce in 2020 because they're all having to take over any kind of schooling or childcare or things that maybe they would have had assistance with from family or friends or schools, and now it's all on their shoulders. So they're leaving the workplace to support their family, which is commendable. But also I think that we need to also stay in the workplace because there's things on our hearts that we want to do, and I think that we're all valuable in our own ways. So I want to hear your story of launching this business while you were pregnant, showcasing mamas and how awesome we are and how we can do many things. And then I want to go in high level on determining your messaging, target market, giving us some tips and tricks that you suggest so that we can really hone in on how we're speaking to our customers and in attracting the right ones. Because I know that's a lot of questions that we all have. So
Yes.
give us
I'm
your
like,
history.
how long is our Instagram?
4 hours. 4+ hours. It's consistent every day now.
Yes, exactly.
Coaching program. We're coaching.
Okay. Start with the story. So I launched this business in October of 2016. And just to like back up a little bit before that, I was working for a very cushy tech company. It was a tech startup called General Assembly. And I have the warmest place in my heart for this company. I loved my team. Like, this was not a scenario where it was like Jerry Maguire and I'm like, F you to everybody is my way. That was not the story. I loved my team. I really vibed with what I did. And I was like steadily moving up the ladder, but I just still, it's like this little voice. And I think that frankly, that's the story of my life. Like just this little voice inside that nobody can hear but me saying like, this isn't it. This is just not, it's not the full expression of what I'm going to be and what I'm going to do with my life. And thank God I listened to it, although probably not at the most ideal time. So I decided to jump ship. And 2 weeks after I realized that I was 2 months pregnant. So,
whoa. So you hadn't known?
No. And obviously, so Stephanie, people always ask me, like, how
I have
did
things
you
on this.
No. Yeah.
I have thoughts on
not
this.
know. But the thing is, we were trying for a while. And so I had kind of taken it out of my mind. And then I just sort of got, we get busy. And so, and now I'm dealing with this like existential, like, am I leaving my career to go start a business? So it was funny because I had done this, this exercise with myself where I sort of sat down and figured out what are all the things that I'm passionate about and what are all the things that I do well, like from experiences in my past, like, now I've fine-tuned my sort of resume or my story or my experience to highlight all the things that relate to branding and marketing.
Right.
And it just so happens that there are a lot of them. But I think if anybody who was actually looking at my LinkedIn, saw all these different positions I had, they'd just be like, this girl's all over
what's happening.
Like, what the heck is she doing? Right. So I think I was the only one who saw branding as the kind of common thread in these things.
Yeah.
So I just sort of like, I mean, it was so organic how I was just like, okay, I think I'm going to start like a branding and marketing consultancy, right? It was just me and one graphic designer. And then, fast forward 4 years later, I mean, we've got like 16 creative team members now, and we've worked with over 50 brands, and like it's scaled, it's a multiple 6-figure company, and it's still a small business, but I own 100% of it. Like, it's a very exciting story because I definitely bootstrapped. I had no money, no clients, no strategy, no brand. I started with nothing, and grew it to this. And I think that's the real magic here. And I think, and what I hope to leave your listeners with is like, anything is possible.
Yes.
But if I could give a like peek into how does one do this? Like, how does one go from nothing to this? I mean, there's a number of different like branding and strategy and like business related things that I could, point to, and they are very important. But at the end of the day, I think the things that are most important that we don't really talk about as much are like the grit and the perseverance. I always treated this business like there was no other option. There was no backup plan. Like, that's how I had to go in every single day and make decisions. with that in mind. Like, I am
Yeah.
removing the net, right? Like, that is
Mhm.
not an option. So
Mhm.
what do we need to do to move forward? Just that, I think, got me out of a lot of those times where I would be like, you know, this is hard. It's
What's next
not that I
quarter look
didn't
like?
experience them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it would. I experienced them more times than I care to admit.
Yes.
But it was just that perseverance, you know, it was just that determination. And I think that needs to be coupled with a strong sense of purpose and self. And that's why I ended up still working with other solopreneurs. So I work on a consulting basis with other women service providers, and I essentially coach them through, how do you sell yourself? How do you stay the course? How do you keep connected to your purpose and connected to your audience? And how do you market yourself if you don't have thousands of dollars to spend on
Advertising?
Yeah, I mean, none of us do. Like,
no, and also there's thoughts on if it works or not. But that's a whole other combo.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's very pay to play. So it's, you know,
Yeah.
so it's a challenge. And the thing is, yeah, there's formulas out there, but at the end of the day, you really need the help of somebody who has done it, you know, and knows what you're experiencing, because somebody who has run marketing for Disney doesn't know boo about what it's like to try and build a small business with nothing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like,
yes.
like the context of the support and the mentorship that you have is everything. Who is this person, and do they know what you are experiencing? And more importantly, are they going to give you the honest feedback and the accountability to drive your business forward? You know, so my consulting is sort of like marketing and sales consulting mixed with a bit of accountability and coaching, because
which we all need.
Yeah, because I very much tie myself to the results of my clients. If they're not winning, I'm not winning. Like, that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So, you know, so thankfully that I feel like is what kind of got me through the pandemic too, because the brand development work that we were doing, you know, was for a lot of small businesses, and they started really hurting during this pandemic. And so that work, it didn't dry up, but it certainly slowed a bit, you know, as we got deeper and deeper into this pandemic, because there was just so much uncertainty.
Right.
But what ended up booming was all of these service providers who just came in wanting to know, how are you doing this? Like, how are you still staying afloat in this very difficult time?
Yeah. Which is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that brings me to my next point of like, what do you need? That resilience is about that kind of challenger mindset. So we all experience challenges in very different ways, but many of us tend to go to this place of almost like being a victim. Oh, this is happening to me and it's out of my control and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that's not the case. This is a crap situation, and it's not good for anybody, right? And it's particularly hard for, you know, for certain groups. I'm not dispensing that. But what I'm saying is, it's a matter of your mindset and getting past that, because a victim mentality isn't going to get you anywhere. It's okay to have your pity party, but then get past it and let's start looking at options and opportunities and solutions. You know what I mean? So I think that you have to be the kind of person who can thrive in those situations too, because things are going to change. I mean, that's what they do. So you have to be the kind of person who rolls with the punches too, you know?
No, I 100% agree. So I want to pull back for a second and just highlight the moms for a sec, because you were in a cushy tech job. Great pay, great benefits, great team, great company, going places. Without knowing it, you were 2 months pregnant, and you were looking at your dreams and visions and who you are, your strengths, and you made a huge pivot without knowing it. But now looking back, you were pregnant. So I want to say that I think that's very common for the first trimester of pregnancy, from the people I talk to, and also for myself, is like you have this weird clarity. It's like a chemical hormonal thing. Something's going on in your body where it's like, hold on. What am I doing during the day that maybe isn't, you know, serving me anymore? Or what am I doing in my career? What am I doing in my friendships or my marriage or my finances? Like, it's this weird thing that happens. So men, if you're watching and you have a pregnant woman in your circle of friends, give them a break. But there's a lot of really deep things happening in our minds in that first stage. So I just want to commend you on that for without knowing it, you made a huge life change. And I think it's all connected. So that's really cool. And it's something I've been looking into on my own, just like what happens in your body and your mind and your heart during pregnancy, something I'm interested in. The other thing I want to talk about is the fact that like, you're growing and scaling in a really hard time. So you mentioned it, and you went into it, but that mentorship, that coaching. So finding people like that is so huge. So I want to make sure that you guys walk away with that you're not supposed to do this alone. We never were meant to do any of this alone. And it's so cliche and you hear it in so many ways and quotes across the screen and calendars like, yeah. But also let's actually hear it, you know, running businesses, whether you are at Disney or you are a, you know, solo freelancer. Like you're not supposed to do it alone. So finding people in your circle, and I found that in you, Robyn, and it's been so great to like have you in my circle these couple of years. So it's just so important. So I want to highlight that.
Sure.
So now 12, 17, can we talk through people are having struggles pivoting. They're having struggles finding clients. They're having struggles determining who those clients are. So if we're going out there and trying to write a caption on Instagram and we're trying to attract our client in the most natural way possible, when you pull back, and I know you charge a lot of money to do this, so you're giving us some secrets for free, so you guys better take some notes. But if you pull back and give us your brain, what do you call it? The brand sprint. It's like that first thing that you do with the clients. Yeah, can you give us, like for you know, the sake of time, it's, you know, let's give it 10 minutes to go into this, but what should someone do? Because there's new brands, there's people dreaming of brands. I'm just taking what I know from my DMs, but there's like startups in the works that people are thinking about. There's people that are 5-10 years into business and they're feeling like burned out. So we have the whole spectrum of people that follow me. And so pull back, what's some things that we should do to really hone in on our target market? And for those of you, maybe you can go dumb, like 6th grade level, what is the target market too? So maybe start there.
Sure. Okay, so let's start with target market, and I won't get into all of the things that we do in strategy.
People can buy your program for that. Yeah.
Well, no, frankly,
hire Robyn.
Like, unless you are somebody who is genuinely interested in like learning strategy, you should not, as a business owner, be taking your time to go learn that.
Yes.
Just find somebody who can do it for you. That's not an effective use of your time. So first of all, target market. Okay. So it used to be in like back in the day with marketing, and I started working in marketing when I was 15. I worked for a company called Gallup and Robinson that was a big market research company. They're still around. Yeah. And I was one of those like clipboard girls that would stand outside of like the Nike store and Target and Robbins Brothers and like give interviews. So really thankless, boring work that I did because I was like, I need to make a little, you know, walking around money when I'm a teen. And this was something I could do, you know, coordinate on the weekends with my school schedule. So anyway. I did this, and what I took away from that experience was learning how these commercial brands, how intentional they are about their marketing and their branding, and what and how customers are experiencing these things, whether it was in store or in advertising or in editorials, because we worked in all like different capacities. So so what I learned from that experience is that back in the day, we used to look at like focus groups, and they would be like female 18 to 35, and they were just very generic sort of groups, right? Here's the challenge with that. Marketing has evolved exponentially. Like social media completely changed the way that we shop, share, experience, feel about brands. So it's almost like we can basically throw everything that we used to know out
the window.
You know, it's hard. And like any old marketing person will tell you like, oh, that's not true. It kind of is.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So now newer age, not just marketing, but like I learned this having worked in tech, in product management, in user experience design, and yes, certainly in digital marketing, they talk about personas. And personas are meant to be unique, you know, especially as a small business with a limited budget or a startup that has not established itself yet. You cannot win if you go wide with your audience. You cannot do it. Like,
thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I'm going to replay this for all my clients. Like, you know how I saw that?
It's the hardest thing in the world, because I think what happens is they go in their mind, I need to just make this as applicable to as many people as possible so that I will sell to as many people as possible.
Right.
The trouble with that from a branding perspective is that then your message is super washed out. Because if you're trying to appeal to, let's say, a 35-year-old male and an 18-year-old female, you are not using the same words. You're not using the same images. You're not using the same colors. Like, I know these seem like very highly subjective things, and they kind of are. And it doesn't quite work out that whoever you pick as your persona, that you're going to get exactly that person and only that person. It doesn't actually work like that. Yeah. But what it does help you do is to zero in on who that ideal customer is and to build your brand around that, so that you can have a really targeted voice and a really targeted aesthetic that will at least appeal to that person. Right. And then what you can do as a brand is, once you have cornered that market, and only once you have cornered that market, then you can start adding in additional personas. But now here's the other thing I'm going to bring up, because I see so many people out there, like startups, who read it somewhere on some blog post that they had to have like 5 and 6 personas. Oh my God, no, you don't. In fact, you shouldn't have more than one persona unless you are planning to create dynamic experiences for each of these audiences.
Yes. Yep. Yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah, there's no point. There's no point otherwise, because essentially what you're saying is again, you're washing out that message. You're trying to zoom your brand out so that it fits both of these people. The trouble with that is when you do that, you make your brand and your marketing message less sticky. And as you know, you have to be sticky in this environment. Like, you know, this was already starting to happen as social media was exploding, but now it's like every brand is trying to reach its customers digitally. So it's only exacerbated the problem. Right now, more than ever, you have to be able to stand out. So I think the part that we focus on is not just the strategy and the clarity of the positioning and the purpose and who you are, and then how do we tell that story, but also finding creative ways to market yourself. Social media is one tool. It's not the only tool. In fact, it's a very saturated tool. So you either have to be telling a unique story, or you got to find another channel. Find your audience in an area they're not, you know, that your competitors aren't looking, you know?
Yep.
So
I agree.
Yeah. So that's
I'm like, I'm on this soapbox with you. Part of me is just like, I want to like yell like, yes, like I'm so on this with you, because it's so relevant, and it's a battle that we all face throughout our entire business. We want to help so many people, but you can't help anyone if you're trying to help everyone. Like, you have to hone in. So number one,
you must hone it. So number one is persona. And what a persona is It should not be a real person. It's a makeup of a person, right? It shouldn't actually be a real person, but it should feel like a real person.
Yes.
So when we do personas, we give them a picture, we give them a name, we give them an age, not an age group, an actual age.
36, yes.
Yes. And they live in, not even just like, oh, they live in Los Angeles. They live in
El
Echo
Segundo
Park, and this is what they drink, and this is what they do. You know what I mean? They drink craft beer, they drive this, they, you know, So yes, of course, we are sometimes playing into, you know, those stereotypes. Yes. But the thing about stereotypes is they tend not to be very wrong. You know what I mean? So like, so if I see somebody driving an Audi, it tells me a lot about who they are and what they value.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It just is what it is. So this is how it's like, you almost have to understand the way that people shop and the way that they feel about brands, and what makes somebody attracted to one brand or the other, in order to then know, okay, we want to appeal to this kind of customer base.
Yes.
Right. So anyway, persona is typically the place that will start, right? And then the other parts are, value prop is a crucial one. It is a crucial one. And now here's the thing that I think most people get really hung up on, is that they go out and they find these things on the internet. You know, they'll Google brand strategy. Yeah. And they'll write their own mission statement, and they'll, you know, they almost like do these things like check marks, right? Here's the trouble with that. Number one, you cannot look at your brand subjectively. It is impossible. You are living and breathing this thing every day. It is your baby. So it's not possible. Even for my brand, I work with a strategist, and I'm a strategist. I mean,
same.
You know what I mean? So you absolutely have to, must be able to look subjectively at your brand with somebody who can give you honest opinions from the outside. Like, hey, these two things don't align. The other thing is they make it all about the copy. And don't get me wrong, copywriting is important. It's a tool, right? Just like your color palette is a tool, just like your logo is a tool, your photography is a tool, but it's a tool. It's not the only thing. It's not the only equation. Really great brands are about making all of these things harmoniously sing, right? It's orchestrative. It's like the perfect sound. Think of it as like a soundboard, right? You've seen a soundboard, all these like little knobs, right? And you have
Perry's got
this one got a little, you know, this one, I got to turn this up a little bit and this down a little bit and this one here. And, you know, and like this, that's what brand strategy is. It's like finding that perfect right mix of everything so that it all sings harmoniously together. It's not a check mark list. It's not like mission statement done, persona done. Nope. Sorry. That's not it. Now for my male clients, I explain it like this. It's like they're cogs in a machine. And how effectively the machine runs is how tight those cogs are, right? So like the machine, it doesn't matter that you just have the cogs if they're not where they need to be. Yes. Right. So, so value prop, I don't just mean coming up with the right words. I mean, coming up with the right positioning. It starts with the understanding of what sets you apart. And then, yes, it's about finding those ways to communicate what sets you apart. So generally, when we work on value prop, it starts with just what's the idea? What, you know, first we have to understand who are our competitors. Yeah. Right. There are no completely original ideas out there. And frankly, if you have one, I'd be asking questions about why, right? Like, why is nobody else in this space? Could it be because it's not a lucrative enough space? I mean, there are very few actual disruptors out there. So there will be competitors, and you must do some research into them. Then it's about understanding how they position themselves so that you can be positioning yourself differently. Yeah. Right. So, so it starts with understanding how are you going to be different, and then yes, finding the words that will help you articulate how you are different, and then finding the visual aspect, right? The aesthetically, now how can we communicate that we're different using colors and imagery and graphics and story and all of that, right? So I tire of people talking about, oh, branding is just storytelling. No, it's not, because you might get somebody's attention with a good story. You're not getting them to buy unless you show your value. So value prop is key. Before you ever think about creating anything for any social channel, make sure that you are very honed in on your value prop. Persona, value prop. The third thing I would say is purpose statement. So a lot of people wax poetic on mission statements, and yes, they're important, particularly if you have a team. You need to be able to like communicate the mission. What are you driving towards? But I like purpose statements because they're just more useful. They are short, to the point, and they speak to what are you doing besides just selling services and products. So this is something that should be, frankly, on everybody's radar, because if you think that you are just selling a product, you're missing the point of branding. Right? Because frankly, people will pay more for a brand in which they feel it represents who they are, what they want to be, what their values are, what the brand stands for. It says something about then what I stand for just in purchasing it. Like that's how we define ourselves. You think about cars, you think about clothing, you think about, even just something simple like what airline
do you fly on? And people are loyal to that's so true. I'm thinking of so many brands right now where I'm like, I buy this because of this. I wear this because of this. I eat this because of this. I go there because of this. And it's all about who I want to be and who I am and who I plan to, I love that. It makes so much sense. So your purpose statement, your purpose.
And your purpose in general. So we have a saying, say it straight before you say it great. What this means is don't get so wrapped up in the copy that you miss the point of getting the point.
To the point. Yes.
Because the thing is, again, copy is a tool, but it doesn't mean boo if you aren't leaning into that purpose. So the thing that's so magical about what we do, about like understanding the purpose and the strategy, is not just in how we're going to build the creative, but the ideas that come out of that for product. Like, so, when we work with a brand and we can really hone in on who their audience is and how they're able to serve them and what movement they're starting, how do they go beyond just selling products? Like, what do they stand for? All of a sudden, all these ideas come up. Because now we've like unlocked that lane, we've cleared the lane. Now we have tons of runway in front of us. It's not just about the copy. It's about how do you now lean into this purpose? And some people can do it, with new products. Some people do it with content. Some people will do it with, partnerships, who you partner with. It says a lot about your brand. So you want to be really intentional about all of these things, because whether you like it or not, they say a lot about your brand,
Yes.
So yeah, it's not just about coming up with the copy. That's a component of it. It's also about understanding where your place is in the market.
Yes.
And what you want to be known for.
Yeah. So can we talk through some examples? So for one, a persona example being, it's Ivy. I literally just looked at the Ivy on my wall, and she's like, Ivy lives in Manhattan Beach. She drives a range. She has 2 kids. She went to this school. She shops at Erewhon and Sprouts. She listens to blank. Like, so that is your person. That's your persona. Robyn is talking about going so deep in that you know what Ivy is thinking on a Saturday morning. Is she going to yoga class, or is she going to hit like 2 different people, right? Is she eating at brunch and getting mimosas, or is she 100% making her own raw spread and inviting friends over? Like, you know Ivy to a point where she is your best friend, but she's like completely imaginary. Yes. So that's what you're talking about. And one thing I do, just tips and tricks on that, is like, I see a woman on social media that embodies like the type of person, but not technically all my details. So I can have a visual of her, and this is what you do for your clients. I take this image of this girl, and then I create this personality for her. But in my mind, and when I'm writing my captions, when I'm creating my content, when I'm going live on Instagram, I'm thinking about my girl, like the photo I took of her, like this technically is her, but the things about her are completely made up from me, from my experience, from what I want my client to look like, right? So that's that.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, one thing though that I want to mention here, because again, just like the checklist, it can't just be, oh, and I think she's this.
No.
She's that. Intentional.
Survey.
You have to be intentional, because here's the thing. You cannot tell me that she lives in Brentwood with 2 kids and that she is a yoga instructor who drives a Range Rover and is single. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
Unless she's independently wealthy, that's not happening. You see what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, or you know what I mean? So or God,
does it
like
make
a
sense?
Yoga influencer or something, right? So yeah, it needs to make sense, and also the idea here is there was definitely a time where we were working on brand personality. So almost as if your brand were a person, that is not this. No. Your persona is a real, again, it's not a real person. It should feel like a real person with real problems. If they don't have problems, they don't need your product.
Exactly. So if you were to suggest, and this is what, there's so many ways to do this, and this is something that we don't have time to dive into, but quick ways to understand more is you write out your persona, right? Then you want to survey your persona. So what did you suggest? And this is what you've done, Iva. You go to the people that are fit in your persona and you ask them questions. You send Google surveys, you get in their DMs, you send them emails, you give it to friends and family, and you ask your persona, what is your pain point? What are you struggling with? What do you need? There's this product that you use. What about it do you hate? What do you love? Like, get in their brains so it builds out, right? Okay, so
if you are somebody who has not had enough time in their business to actually validate that this person, one, exists and like
wants your product,
then you need to do some bootstrapped like market research. You don't need to hire a market research company, nor should you if you don't have the budget. Like, that's not a good use of your money, but you still need to do the digging. Like, you still need to do the research to make sure and validate. And you should want to do that, because because even if it's just validating your assumptions, you're going to be able to go in so much more confidently, into the rest of your business and your brand more confidently if you feel like, yes, this person exists and I've talked to them.
Yes, exactly.
So,
okay, so that was target market. So then let's sum up the last 2. So value prop. Give us an example. Let's say we're going off of Ivy, and she goes to yoga on the weekends, but she has a big career and she makes, I don't know, middle 6 figures, 500,000 a year, something like that, whatever. Sure. So now, what is her value prop? Like, can we give an example? Or the value prop that a business would have to attract Ivy. This is like, whoa, on the spot stuff.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But it's fun. It's puzzle pieces.
The value prop doesn't refer to your customer's value prop. It refers to your business. Yes. So let's say, Steph, that you were trying, maybe let's make her, what if she owns a yoga studio?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Love it.
And let's say that you're trying to sell her on your service.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay.
So
Yes.
now it needs to be how can you differentiate yourself from
Mm-hmm.
all of the other content creators out there? So
Yes.
you're already starting to do it by saying, okay, there's a lot of photographers out there, right?
Right.
But how do I make what I do? How do I zone into what her problems are? Which
Mm-hmm.
are, so some of them could be that she has a limited budget or that
Yes.
she doesn't really know how to tell her story, you
Yes.
know, or that she knows that she needs to be present on these channels and she needs to be cultivating these connections with her customers. But at the end of the day of running her business, she just doesn't she has trouble coming up with content.
Yes.
Right? Like just
Yes.
coming up with ideas, and it's starting to really frustrate her because she's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time. Maybe I don't even have the desire. I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, and I don't have the money to go pay a marketing agency to do this for me.
Yes.
A photographer's job is not necessarily to do all of those things.
Yes.
A lot of times photographers want to come in, just do the job. You give them a brief, that a lot of
Yes.
times that might be the types of photographers I work with. There's nothing wrong with that, but they're just
Right.
like, this is out of my wheelhouse. They're not necessarily doing all these other things. So I think it's really smart that you found a pain point that you
Yep.
wanted to address for this person. That
Yes.
is your value prop. Your value
Yes.
prop is that you're not just a photographer, you're somebody who creates content. You're a content curator for this person.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you specialize in the photography component, but really content is much wider than just imagery. And as
Correct.
you and I both know, and having worked with each other, imagery is such an important part
Yes.
of telling your brand story and
Mm-hmm.
showing the experience. So before
Mm-hmm.
I go change to a new yoga studio, I might want to go to their website and get a sense for, well, what kind of vibe can I expect there?
Right. Yes.
Right? How do you
Do they
use
have
content?
eucalyptus towels? Yes or no? Yeah.
Yeah. So
How are you playing yourself apart?
It's one thing to say these things on your website, and it's much more powerful to show them,
Yes.
you
Mm-hmm.
know?
I 100% agree. So I am clear, and we are clear on the value prop.
Cool.
We've thought about our target, our persona, ideal client, target market, avatar.
Yeah.
There's so many words for it.
Yeah.
Value prop. What are you selling, and how are you different in a sense?
Yes.
Okay. So now the last section being your purpose statement.
Yes.
It's not the mission statement, it's the purpose statement. So let's take Ivy. She runs this yoga studio, right? We're still gonna, because she, no. Would it be my purpose statement? Yeah, I'm getting
It's your
confused now.
purpose
Okay,
statement.
okay. So I'm attracting Ivy as this fake yoga owner studio lady, and
Yeah.
I am working on my purpose statement, which I do have. So, but for the sake of this example, let's create my purpose statement. High level, my purpose statement is, give me a quick.
So
thought.
here's a kind of framework for how I work this. Because it's tricky. It's really challenging to on the spot.
100% is so challenging. There's so much
right.
into it. Yes.
So here's like a framework that I use. You want to first of all speak to maybe like the audience and the value that you create, as opposed to the mechanism in which you use to create it.
Yes. Huge. That's huge. Yes.
So to give you an example, we recently worked with a like men's skincare line, right? And their purpose statement, you wouldn't find skincare in there. You wouldn't find products in there. That's not the point of the statement. The statement actually helps you to think about it, zoom out and say, here's what the overall value is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's why we exist. Like, it's sort of the beginnings of the why of what you do. It needs to be a little bit more zoomed out and not just about we're pushing product out there.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
And again,
I love that.
I'm going to hit this one more time. I know that I've said it over and over and over and over again. It is not just simply, this isn't Mad Libs. It's not just simply filling in the blanks, because a customer is going to sniff that right out. If you're like full of it and really all you're doing is just pushing product and you have no real interest in the result or the value that it brings to them, then it's not going to work for you. And that's why branding is so much more than just design,
the pretty stuff.
Yeah, it's so much more than just the pretty stuff, because frankly, it's that connection. If you want that connection to last, you need to be more than just a pretty face.
Yeah.
Right? So back to your purpose statement.
Well, we could do, so maybe we do the skincare line, because it separates it from the, what we've been talking about. So it gets people thinking in a different way.
Sure.
What would theirs be? Or something that's easy, where, because I know this is like weeks of brainstorming and strategy to get to get the target persona, to get the value prop, to get the mission statement or purpose statement. So you guys, this is messy, okay? You didn't pay for a strategy session. This is Instagram Live. But let's try.
The context
yes.
is so important.
The example is so
right. So to get so the skincare company that we worked with, they were looking to appeal to new dads, like men who were in their 30s, who were who were just starting to see the effects of not wearing sunscreen and age, and maybe and
just
also
kidding. Ignore.
When I talked with them, I was like, oh God, yeah, this is my husband. And that's what you want. When you tell somebody your persona, you want them to be like, oh yeah,
I know someone like that. Mm-hmm.
That's how you know that your persona is starting to feel a little bit more real. Anyway, so that was their customer base. Now, they sell they're like Korean style skincare products, so really high end. And most men, so their value prop is that most men's skincare lines are kind of like, here, yous are like 3-in-1, like. So they were about not only is it like kind of cleaner and better ingredients and formulations, but also zoning into the sort of self-care elements of each one of these things. Mm-hmm. So we used that to speak higher level about, right? Like how do you
yes.
So
yes.
So anyhow, so the purpose statement might be something like, we haven't written it yet, but the purpose statement might be something like, we help men, on the spot.
I know. Wait, I have a bad one. Can I? Yeah, go. Yeah. You go, and I'll give you my bad one.
It's okay. Yes. So, something about like, maybe we help men to tap into and understand the importance of self-care, so that they can, be strong, live more fulfilling lives, or
yes.
Prepare better for the future, or things like that. So which words we use is also going to be dependent on what's the product and also what's the vision.
Yeah.
So this is why I say, like, it all kind of needs to connect. It's not quite as simple as check mark, check mark, check mark.
Exactly.
Because if there's anything that starts to feel off the brand, all of a sudden it creates this confusion, and you cannot create the cardinal sin, which is confusing your customers.
Yes.
Because nobody wants to buy what they don't understand.
Yeah, and they don't have time to figure it out, and they also don't care enough.
Yes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's like, what can you do for me? This is how we think.
Exactly. Well, I mean, we're in the marketing space, and I feel the same way. Like, I don't want to spend more than 10 seconds trying to figure out a brand, what they're trying to sell, and if I'm on board or not. And that all can happen in an Instagram 15-second story. People can decide yes or no if they're in. So this stuff is huge. This is important. You guys just got $10,000 worth of strategy and a 50-minute Instagram live. So, thank you, Robyn. Thank you for this. I see Yeah, I know. I was
Yes,
just saying they got like 10K
battery
worth
like done.
of I know we're dying, but like you guys, free. This was free 55, but now next steps. Let's go some meeting strategy. You've got these things you need to think about. Now there's people that can help you with these things. What? So I've got Robyn's Instagram in my caption. Go stalk what she does, stalk her website. She's doing a ton of cool things. So, and also only takes a certain amount of clients. So it's not like, you know, free for all. She's very picky on who she works with. So that's something to note. And then also bring people in your circle, get advice, survey out, do the hard stuff until you can go to the pretty stuff, the colors, the design. But then when you're ready for the pretty stuff, you know who does photography and visual strategy. I never sell on these, but I'm like, hey, you know, this pulled right into what I do. So, this is a blast. I'm so grateful for you, Robyn. And if you guys have questions after, send me DMs. I know that she's willing to answer stuff. So, you know, I'll forward your questions to her and all of that. But this was so much fun.
Yeah, well, and I'll throw it out there too. I do discovery calls with just about anybody. And this is essentially like a great goal setting call where I will ask very specific questions about what is your vision? Like, let's zoom out. So think of it as like little mini free strategy sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this too, you know, part of the reason I think that I have been successful in sort of sales is because I never think of these like supposed sales calls as sales calls.
No.
They are an opportunity for me to connect with somebody.
Yes.
If and only if they're a right fit for me, do I actually even offer my
Agreed.
services.
Yes.
And if they're not, man, I've got an entire network of people that I've referred business to over the years where I'm like, this person doesn't need what I do.
Yes, exactly. So
or
that's
they're
huge.
not ready for me. You know?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So having a network too, that's another tip, is having a network of people. If you have to say no to a client because they're not the right fit, maybe there is someone that does what they need that you can refer to. So I think that's huge. That's a really good point to bring up as well.
Yes. This is how I've like learned to love sales, because Lord knows like nobody loves like cold emailing or cold calling. And I would never suggest to somebody do that. It's a waste of time. But if you can tap into your market, and obviously this starts with first having the understanding of who is your market? What do you have to offer? Like, you got to put the strategy together first. So for those of you who are interested and going to reach out to me, be prepared that the first place I'm going to start with
work.
Strategy. Yeah.
Yes.
We must do strategy first. And then absolutely, I'm happy to work with you on creative marketing out of the brand. But like, we will start with strategy.
Yep. It's the hard stuff. Yeah. I really appreciate that. And, I need to be better about repurposing this content, but you guys, if you have like pause, scroll, screenshot, write notes, like there's a ton of stuff in here, and maybe at some point I'll be good about getting this up on a blog. But yeah, this is definitely a rewatcher, and I really appreciate everything you shared, Robyn.
Thanks, lady. Thanks.
Okay.
You too. You look fantastic too.
Oh, thanks. I'm prepping for a vacation. I hope I'm doing these fake tan drops to like not go completely from like pale to. No, Lux Unfiltered. It's like yeah, it's tan drops. You guys, I'll actually just DM me. I'll give my tanning secrets.
I love it.
Okay. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.